Greetings everyone, my name is Dr. Jason Freeman. I'd like to welcome you all to my channel.
Who is she?
Supergirl has gained a tremendous amount of popularity over the years through movies, television shows, and of course, comics. However, most casual fans aren't aware of how confusing her origins are within the comics. And in advance of the 2026 Supergirl film starring Milly Alcock, I just wanted to clarify some things for y'all, including which origin we're likely going to see, or will at least be referenced within the film. But before we go any further, I just want you to smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. So Kara Zor made her comics debut during the Silver Age, specifically in Action Comics number 252 in May of 1959. In the comic, Kara meets her cousin, Kal-El, as a teenager who survived on a chunk of Krypton that survived the initial explosion. She was born after the planet's explosion, so she has no memories of Krypton. However, unlike her cousin Kal-El, she does grow up in the Kryptonian community, with her father Zor-El and her mother Allura Inzet. In this version of her origins, the rock that her parents and community survived on starts to turn to kryptonite as a result of the nuclear explosion that destroyed Krypton. Or maybe more accurately described as anti-kryptonite, since that type of kryptonite is what kills non-powered Kryptonians. Either way, Zor-El saves the community by utilizing lead that was in his lab to make a shield protecting the Kryptonians from the radioactive rock. However, after many years, the shield fails during a meteor shower, and Kara is sent to Earth by her father Zor-El after her mother discovers Earth and his hero Superman using a telescope. Now, was Kara Zor the first Supergirl/Superwoman? Well, that answer is absolutely no. That honor actually goes to Lois Lane in Action Comics number 60, published in May of 1943. In this comic, Lois Lane becomes Superwoman after getting a blood transfusion from Superman. By the way, shout out to Dr. Charles Drew, the African-American doctor who pioneered the storage of blood plasma and set up the first blood bank in the United States. The more you know. Being published only 5 years after Superman's debut in June of 1938, some consider Lois Lane's Superwoman the earliest version of Supergirl. However, we get a much clearer blueprint for the Woman of Tomorrow in Superman number 123, published in August of 1953. In this comic, Jimmy Olsen is up to his usual mischief when he uses a wish-granting totem to conjure up a Supergirl with all of Superman's powers. This version of Supergirl, who looks shockingly like Kara Zor, who would debut months later, is supposed to be a lifelong companion to the lonely Superman, much to Lois's chagrin. This story does not have a great ending for Supergirl, as she sacrifices herself to save Superman, and then asks Jimmy to wish her away, which of course he does. And this wouldn't be the last time that Supergirl sacrificed herself for Superman. In Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, which was published in October of 1985, the Anti-Monitor was about to kill Superman when Kara Zor comes in, battles the Anti-Monitor, largely defeats him, but then dies in Superman's arms after she takes the brunt of a blast from the Anti-Monitor. Now, the thinking behind killing off Supergirl at this time was a belief by some writers and editors that there were too many Kryptonians in the DC universe. And having so many Kryptonians essentially diminished the specialness and the greatness of Superman. Also, the flop of the 1984 Supergirl film starring Helen Slater and Faye Dunaway probably didn't help either. Though as a youngster, I was a fan of the movie for reasons. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I just wanted to quickly mention that if you're enjoying what you're seeing from the DCU or DC Comics in general, why not buy a Funko Pop of your favorite DC character? I have a few myself and will definitely be getting more. To get your own Funko Pop DC character, click on the link in the description. This brings us to Kara Zor-El's second origin in the comics. In Superman Batman number 8, published in May of 2004, Kara is introduced post-Crisis as the older cousin of Kal-El. In this retcon origin, Kara is sent to Earth in suspended animation to look over her infant cousin, only to arrive after he's already an adult. This is the version of Kara Zor we see portrayed by Sasha Calle in the 2023 The Flash movie. Though, in between her death in 1985 and reintroduction in 2004, we get a new Supergirl introduced in the form of Linda Danvers. Specifically, she's introduced in Supergirl Volume 4 Number 1 in September of 1996. This version is not Superman's cousin, it's not Kara Zor, she's not even Kryptonian. Rather, she's a merging of a human, Linda Danvers, and a shape-shifting protoplasm named Matrix. And just to add another layer of complexity, this shape-shifting protoplasm was created by a version of Lex Luthor who was heroic from a parallel Earth. In addition to all of Superman's powers, Linda also has the power of telekinesis. In addition to flame wings, flame vision, and teleportation. So basically a new improved Supergirl. And Linda actually meets the pre-crisis Kara Zor in Supergirl Volume 4, numbers 75 through 80, titled Supergirl Many Happy Returns. In this storyline, instead of Kara's ship landing on the pre-crisis Earth 1, her ship actually lands on the post-crisis universe where Linda Danvers is Supergirl. Linda, knowing Kara's eventual fate in Crisis on Infinite Earths, actually goes to that Earth 1 timeline to replace Kara and falls in love with Superman, who again, as I mentioned before, is not her cousin. And she eventually marries Superman and has a daughter named Ariella Kent. Much to Lois' chagrin, why do we have to keep doing this to Lois? Like, what did Lois do? What did Lois do to deserve all this happening to her? She loves Superman. Why did she have... Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. Linda's eventually forced to go back to the post-crisis Earth to save Kara, and she then sends Kara to the pre-crisis or the Earth 1 timeline. And Linda then quits being Supergirl just in time for the new Kara Zor to show up in 2004. Confused yet? But wait, there's more. Kara's origin story is retconned yet again in 2011 with the New 52, which was a reimagination of the DC universe. In this version of Kara's origin, she actually grows up on Krypton and experiences the destruction of Krypton firsthand. Another key difference between this origin story for Kara and the Silver Age origin is that in this version, her mother, Allura Nze, actually dies before Zor can come up with his lead plate solution to save the community. Now, the rest of the New 52 origin largely mirrors what we saw in the pre-crisis origin, with a notable exception of the introduction of Jeremiah and Eliza Danvers of Midvale, who would eventually adopt Kara and give her the name Linda Danvers. Which, of course, is an homage to the Linda Danvers who was the second Supergirl, third, who knows at this point? It's just one of the Supergirls. And so you have Linda Danvers of who has the powers, and then Linda Danvers, the secret identity of Kara. And yeah, you should be confused at this point. And so now we have to introduce the third Kara Zor of the DC universe, also known as Powergirl. Earth 2's Kara Zor was introduced in All-Star Comics number 58 in 1976. Earth 2 was a location of the Golden Age superheroes, including the Flash Jay Garrick and the Green Lantern Adam Scott, along with the rest of the Justice Society of America. Yes, that Justice Society of America. In this version of Supergirl's origin story, she actually leaves Krypton at the same time as her cousin Kal-El, but it takes her ship longer to get to Earth, and so by the time she gets there, Kal-El's already established as Superman. Now, in the original version of the story, she arrives at Earth 2 when she's in her early 20s, but that was actually retconned to make her 18 when she arrived. But in Crisis on Infinite Earths, Earth 2 gets destroyed, and so now Kara Zor of Earth 2 is stranded on the main post-crisis Earth. Now, for a time, because they're trying to get rid of the extra Kryptonians on Earth, they retconned Powergirl's origin to make her Atlantean rather than Kryptonian. But then they retconned the origin again, and they made her Kryptonian again, so now you have two Kryptonian Kara Zor on the same Earth. And so what do? Well, you make one Powergirl. And so Powergirl physiologically is the same as Supergirl, except she's older, and she has a very different wardrobe. So this begs the question, which origin for Supergirl are we going to see in the 2026 Supergirl film directed by Craig Gillespie? Well, there's one major hint that points to a particular origin story from the comics. It's been reported that canonically, Kara will be younger than Kal-El in the DCU. Now, of all the origins that I mentioned, most have Kara as either being older or the same age as Kal-El, with the exception of the Silver Age origin. And so my prediction is that we're going to get the Silver Age origin of Kara Zor. Now this makes a lot of sense because James Gunn seems to be leaning heavily on the Silver Age version of the various characters that we've seen in the DCU so far. In addition, using the Silver Age version of the story gives Allura Nze, Kara's mother, a lot more agency in how her daughter ends up. Because as I mentioned before, it's Kara's mother that discovers the Earth and the Earth's Kryptonian protector. Now, I do have to mention that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow does have an origin story within it, and that was the original title for the Supergirl film. Now, that origin leans heavily on the New 52 origin story, where basically Allura Nze dies from the kryptonite or anti-kryptonite exposure before the lead plates are put into place, and then once those lead plates fail, then Kara is sent to Earth by her father. But again, because Kara is older than Superman in this version, I don't think this will be the ultimate version that they use. Now, of course, I can be wrong, and ultimately we have to actually see the film, which comes out next June, to see what the origin story is. But I will say the bigger question is, will we ever see Milly Alcock as Powergirl? Now, if you found that video interesting and or informative, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, please share this video. If you want me to explore the complicated origin stories of other DC characters, please leave those in the comment section below. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.